I think Gio was fantastic in November with us. I think everyone praised him in his game against Paraguay, and then in the way that he was involved and committed with the team and with the national team. I think he was. I was really happy with in all the aspect in the factor that he was involved. Before the last decision for the last roster for the World Cup, I think it's good to see players that maybe are not playing too much, like in that case of Aboshio, but that is very talented player, and we know how he can add to the national team. Is to see if he is affected about that and he is capable to perform with us again. I think we really know that he's a very special, talented, and very special player. And I think to give the possibility, even if it's not playing too much in his club, if can be very useful for us. That is our mindset in the way that we made the decision to bring Gio in this camp.
Next will be Doug McIntyre from Fox.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, Mauricio. Good to see you again. I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing us all next week. To follow up on Steve's question a little bit, in general, and for the World Cup roster in particular in May, will you value more how a player has performed for the national team in the last year and a half that you've been there, or how that player is doing in the moment in a different environment with his club, how fit he is, how much form, good form he's in? How do you weigh those two things when it comes to the final decision? Thank you.
It's an art because every single player is different and can add different things to the team. We cannot follow some rule because I think it's not fair to judge all in the same way. But I think it's two different things that we appreciate and we expect for the player to add to the national team. But that because I think we were working a lot in more than 1 year and a half that you know me and we start to work together. I think the most important is what the player can add to the team and if can be the right player, to help to perform the team. That is why we don't follow exactly the rule in all the player exactly in the same way because all are completely different character, different profiles, different quality, different talent, and that is the most important is to try to find, to detect the right, selection that to be, very very close to perform in the way that we perform in the last two camps. No, I think October and November were a very good example that maybe, with different roster, different names, but the team perform. And what we need to do is, to have the possibility to see again in this camp the possibility with different roster because are going to be 10 different players from the last roster in November is to try to perform in the same way because I think the Paraguay, Uruguay are going to be similar to Portugal with all the respect, no? Portugal and Belgium. We are playing with top level, teams, and I think it's important to perform again. And like I told you, that is for me, there are World Cup games, and that is important that we can perform again.
Next question comes from Jeff Carlisle from ESPN FC.
Thank you, Michael. Hello, Mauricio. How are you?
How are you?
Good, good. I was wondering if you could elaborate on the situation surrounding Tyler Adams and Haji Wright, because obviously both important players and were in good form. And also, what do you make of Christian Pulisic's form, coming into this camp?
Always is, in the case of Haji Wright and Taylor, they are not available to be selected because both are injured. I think that is always difficult when the player is injured and you cannot select. or you cannot have the possibility to select if you want to select, no? When the player are injured, like Serginho also is not selected, cannot be selected because we cannot think on him to select because I think he's injured. I think always is tough, it's difficult because it's a great opportunity or the last opportunity to see, the player in the before to make the decision. That always can have an influence, no, positive or negative. But it's important that he can recover as soon as possible and perform, and then to have the possibility to be selected for the last roster. But Christian, I think it always is. I never measure the performance of the teams or the clubs. Always we see the player, and Christian is playing, and of course is not scoring. But for me, it's not only to score goals. For me, I am happy with him in the way that he is performing, or the way that he's commitment with the team, and in the time that he's playing. And of course, I think it's a great opportunity for him to join us, and of course to perform with us and to try to help him, to arrive in the best condition to be, in a good position to be selected for the last roster.
Next will be Henry Bushnell from The Athletic.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, Mauricio. Good to see you.
How are you? Nice to see you.
Good. A question about Noki Banks. He has said that he's undecided whether to play for the United States or Germany. He hasn't made a decision yet. Did you invite him to this camp, and have you tried to convince him to play for the US and have him come in before the World Cup?
Yes, I think Noki is a young kid that become a man so quick, no? Because now he's playing in Bundesliga. If you remember, we brought him in September in Jersey and in Columbus, and was a little bit unlucky because we wanted to give the possibility to play, and he was injured. But was with us, and I think was a great opportunity to see and to talk with him and to know each other and to know with the team, with the rest of the team and the staff and everything. Yes, I can talk about like he's my son, no? He's like a father figure, because I think he still is, like you say, he's not yet made the decision. He's thinking a lot. Is in a situation that is not easy for him. We are very focused on him because we follow him. He's in the pool of the player that we are follow for. In the moment that we signed the contract with the young men national team, and I think we start to work to identify talent and young talent. Yes, it always is in our mind, but at the moment if he made the decision and the decision is for us, is to be with us, of course that is going to be in our radar to see if we will select or no. But at the moment he was very clear in the situation that he's not available for not to be selected, because he still not made the decision. He's thinking and still didn't make the decision. Jesus was seeing him in Augsburg, and he was talking with him. I was talking with him. We were talking by FaceTime, Zoom. Yeah, we have a great contact, and I really appreciate him. He's a very nice kid, but it's in a difficult situation, and hope for USA that the decision will be for our side, because I think it's not only present, if not his future too, no? And I think it's only to give time and to support him in the way that we when I say we, the whole federation, is supporting him and trying to, not to convince, because it's not about to convince, it's about to, to show that the federation really care about him, no?
Noki Banks, having been part of both the U17, U18, and U20 national teams for the United States prior to his call-up in September to the senior team. We'll continue with Ron Blum from the Associated Press.
Hi, Mauricio. Thanks for doing this.
How are you?
What is the nature of Tyler Adams' injury? And with Serginho, do you expect him to recover in time to be available for the World Cup?
Yes, Taylor Adams, the report from last Saturday from his club is 2 or 3 weeks to recover and time to start to play. That is the problem. In 2 3 weeks, we already play both game, and we cannot consider it in this moment because that the his club was what he sent to the information that sent to us. That is the injury is in his quadricep quad, and but I don't know if because I don't know if it's in English that exactly. I don't want to be wrong, and I said apologize if that is, but it's in his quadricep for sure. But I cannot explain in English the real area. But hope that he can play soon and be again available for Bournemouth and for the future be available to be select, no? And Serginho, yes, Serginho is focused now in his recovery. He's very motivated to recover as soon as possible. Hope that he can, as soon as possible, and similar to Hashi or similar to Taylor, that be available again.
Next, we'll go to Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, Mauricio.
Hello, how are you?
I know you're always asked about players who did not make the team, not because of injury, but because you chose to not select them.
Yeah.
And I know you've been asked many, many times over the months about Alejandro Zendejas specifically. But whether it's him or any other player who is competing and you did not choose him, and now it's the last roster before the World Cup team is picked at the end of May, what do those players have to do to convince you and make it?
Well, I think that decision in this roster, what I can tell you that everyone is saying that maybe is the last opportunity, but it's not close. It's open. It's still open. It's not the final roster. um, like we were talking about Gio, it's still, we need to identify because after November to March, it's a long, long period. And I think we need to identify still. Alejandro, I know very well. I know how he can adapt and the dynamic of the group. I know very well how he can work. But I think that maybe Diego Luna that is not, or different players that today are not, or maybe players that are injured and miss the opportunity maybe to come with us. But I think it's not close. It's not close because you can see injuries. You can see combination. After this issue, the combination and the dynamic of the group can change depending on the selection. That is so important for me. The last is, of course, that we are going to take like is the World Cup, but I think also for me it's important to see the combination of different names, to see how we work, how they or how we can create the same dynamic that the last few camp. That is the most important thing with different players now, and see how we connect each other, because we are going to be 10 different players, and that is really important for in the way that we see the things. No.
Next will be Sanjay Sujan Thakumar.
Thanks, Michael. Hola, Mauricio. Mauricio, ¿estás preocupado con la posibilidad de que no haya suficiente química con los mediocampistas, especialmente sin Tyler Adams en este campamento? Ha sido difícil, ¿sí?, construir algo que puede durar hasta el verano y por el Mundial, no solo con los dos mediocampistas, pero también ellos jugando con los pocket wingers, ¿sí? Los cuatro. Gracias.
No estoy preocupado. si tú ves octubre, noviembre, octubre donde estuvo Taylor, noviembre donde no estuvo, creo que hemos mantenido o hemos rendido muy bien. Yo no estoy preocupado. Lo único que es que los jugadores estén todos en forma para poder hacer la mejor selección, para tener la mejor combinación. Pero está claro que hay jugadores que en noviembre, como Chris Richard, eh, o Weston McKennie, o Pulisic, o Malik Tillman, eh, diferentes, o Johnny Cardoso que no han venido, o Taylor Adams, que no han venido y el equipo ha funcionado muy bien. No quiero decir que sea nada, ¿no? Quiero que el equipo siga funcionando en esa forma, ¿no? Y eso es lo más preocupado es que el equipo siga manteniendo la química, ¿no?
El siguiente es Daniel Chapela.
Buen día, Mauricio. Gracias por tu tiempo. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias.
Eh, Te quiero hacer una pregunta del funcionamiento del equipo, de la manera en que el equipo arma el juego desde atrás. Generalmente le da salida a un lateral y queda el equipo con tres centrales. Vas a tener a Anthony Robinson de nuevo, que te da profundidad por la izquierda. Teniendo, por ejemplo, a Robinson y a Deza al mismo tiempo, ¿es una variante que puedes utilizar, digamos, dos laterales de esa característica?
Sí, sí. Max Arsten también da profundidad en el lateral izquierdo. Serginho Dest, que tú lo nombras, que hoy está lesionado, que no puede ser, no puede estar. Pero tenemos jugadores como Scali, que juega como wingback en Mönchengladbach, o jugadores como Wea, que también juega o por izquierda o por derecha, también juega como lateral o como wingback, no solamente como wing, o Alex Freeman, que también puede ser un jugador profundo, ¿no? Creo que tenemos muchas y buenas características en los laterales con profundidad y pocos bandas que sean esos jugadores profundos, ¿no? Cuando a veces se hablan de los sistemas, ¿no? 1-4-3-3, 1-4-2-3-1, muchas veces si tú tienes bandas ofensivos con uno contra uno que son determinantes, quizás necesitas laterales que vengan a entiendan más el juego interior, ¿no? O que puedan construir de atrás, pero que no sean tan profundos, ¿no? Y que entiendan el juego de otra forma, ¿no? Teniendo jugadores, yo creo, de esta forma y jugadores como tenemos medios, que la mayoría son jugadores que van adentro, que interpretan los carriles centrales, las entrelíneas, yo creo que es una posibilidad tener estos jugadores que le den profundidad y le den amplitud al equipo, porque tenemos esta característica de laterales que pueden ser muy utilizables en el último tercio haciendo daño, ¿no? Siendo profundos, que comprendiendo el juego desde otra área, ¿no?
Next will be Charlie Bone from MLSsoccer.com.
Thank you for your time, Profe. You mentioned Diego Luna. I wanted to ask for a little more insight. We saw him come back off the bench and make his first appearance for his club over the weekend. Is he just not recovered sufficiently? And do you consider bringing in a player like that, even if they're not 100% fit, maybe to get them time with the group?
Yes, I think of course that I saw him playing, but I think what the player need to know that we are in complete contact with the coaching staff and the performance area and medical staff, all the club. And I think he struggled a little bit. The information that we have is struggled a little bit in pre-season and all the to get the form and then came injured. And I think it's important to be careful. Players need to understand that we control everything. We have all the information, and they cannot cheat us. I don't say that Diego is cheating us, but it's important to be focused in the World Cup. It's important to train, always giving your best, always on the top. It's not to say, okay, I am in my club 50%, because after in the national team, I'm going to play 100%. No, I want the player play in his best in the team. Of course, you can say to me, maybe Gio Reyna, Alex Freeman, they are not playing too much now. But it's different if you give your best and after you don't get game time, like happened in these things, okay. But what I don't want is not to give your best and you don't get in time because you become injured and then but that is not talking about Diego, it's talking about in general. But yes, happy that Diego is start playing again and but I think is the roster that is very expensive now to be in the roster because we have plenty of players that deserve to be in the roster, and that is going to be painful, like it's painful for me and for us to take decision. But it's going to be like it's expensive to get the 26 because the competition is big and the pool is massive.
Next will be Pardeep Khatri from CBS.
Hi, Mauricio. Thank you for your time. I wanted to ask you about Weston McKennie. You obviously left him off the roster in November so he could get settled in with his new coach at Juventus. Sorry. Now that he's done that, you've seen him play over the last few months. How happy have you been with his play, and where do you see him fitting into your team now that he'll be back with the group?
Yes, it's true that the Juventus is Weston McKennie plus 10 players now. No, and we are so happy for that because that means that is an important player for Juventus. Another thing that I celebrate that he can play in every single place, like his coach say. He can be the best striker, the best number 10, the number 7, the number 2, 4. Can play fullback, can play mid. I think is playing in different position, and of course it's good for him, it's good for us, it's good to have a player that can play in different position and to give the balance sometimes the team that in different position that you need. You say if I see him in different position, on which position I think it's important in the moment that we are going to give and to find the balance. I think it's important to see him, how he can provide the balance in case that we want him, in the starting 11. And of course, that is good to have this capacity, the capacity from the player to adapt in different positions. That always is good for the coaching staff.
We'll take a couple more questions and continue with Scott French from Soccer America.
Hi, Mauricio. We've
Hello.
seen Tim Weah play a little bit deeper with Marseille, and we've seen Tanner Tessman play in the back line for Lyon. Does that impact at all how you look to utilize them? In what ways does that play into your thoughts? Thank you.
Yes, Tanner Tessman is a very good player because he has one thing that is very important: brain. He understands soccer. He understands in every single position that in the way that he need to to perform and to behave. And it's not new for me. I think he has the profile that to play in different position on the pitch. He's another very good player and he's playing a lot in Lyon and he's doing well. And I think, like I was talking about Weston, is another player that I really, the coaching staff, the coaches, we really appreciate that profile of player.
Our last question today comes from Sam Spencer.
Mauricio, thank you so much for the time. Wanted to ask you about the players near and dear to Charlotte. Tim Ream, obviously, want to know if he's still your first choice at captain, and when Haji Wright and other people possibly come back into the squad, want to know what Patrick Agyemang needs to do to continue being called up and make the World Cup roster. And then finally, Luca Della Torre, we haven't seen him since the Japan match, and wanted to know if his injury played a role in him not being called up.
I start for Tim, no? Your question was if
he's your first choice for starting at center back.
To be honest, today no, we build a roster with 27 players, and my 27 player they will have the possibility when we start next weekend, after next weekend, the possibility to be in the starting 11. and always is about performance, but feelings, intuition, how we measure, how we use the data, how we use all the technology today into measure all the player. But the combination, that is not a machine that can make the right combination. Is that our taste, our intuition, our feelings, and through our experience, our eyes. And that is why I cannot say that he's going to be, maybe can be on the starting 11 or the first, choice for me in the center back, or maybe not. And that is why always football is very, very dynamic, that can change in every single moment. Talking about Ashimen, it's very competitive, the position, because we have Kashi Rai, we have Patrick Ashimen, we have Ricardo Pepi, we have Florian Balogun, we have also different players, that we can talk about that. Too many good players in that position that is not easy to select. But of course, all are going to have the possibility to be in the roster. And what I can tell the players that today they didn't reach the roster, is not that they are not going to have possibility to be in the final roster. And the players that today are in the roster, they cannot think they are going to be in the final roster, because we go to Atlanta and maybe we make some picture preparing things, for marketing or for things like this, because that is the last opportunity maybe to make this type of thing. That is why all that we were talking always is true. I am happy with more than 26 player, because in 1 year and a half, I think we made different, selection. And when we will assess nearly 2 years working with more than 70 players, that is going to be the final roster, because that machine, not only mine, all the coaching staff, we are going to add or to put in the table all our capacity, knowledge about to select the right 26, not the best, the right 26, with the possibility to compete in the best way for representing our country in that exciting World Cup, that amazing event that is the best in the world.
Thanks so much. Good luck with the camp.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mauricio, and thanks to all of you for joining today. As a reminder, we will have the video of today's call available. If you need the audio, you can reach out to me or Paula directly. And again, we'll send out the media availability schedule for Atlanta later this week. Thanks again, and have a good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.